Thanks for stopping by Big Top Gaming. My name's Brian.
And my name is Tyler.
And it's been a good long time since we've had a Song of Ice and Fire battle report with another person outside myself. So today I'm going to be playing some Targaryens. Now this was a list that I played in Verona, Wisconsin at Valhalla Games. They have a website called Cards and Games and Things. I'll leave a link to their website in the description below. But essentially, the list, I played it once. Some of you may know that I felt a little dirty after doing it, so I was like, you know what, I feel really clean today, so I'm going to play some Mother of Dragons again. And I know that Cool Mini or Not put out a new... well, they had their live talk today, and in that, they ended up changing the dragons. So these are not the changed dragons. These are the ones that really, really hurt. So I have Daenerys in a unit of... Unsullied pikemen, mostly because they're really resilient and they have a couple different orders that really kind of add some oomph to the list. Between having the ability to block a bunch of extra hits and punish your opponent for charging you, it makes it very difficult for your opponent to negotiate how to deal with her unit, given that she offers up 2 extra victory points when she bites the dust. Of course, I've got my 3 dragons, Rhaegal, Viserion, and Drogon. And then I also have 3 NCUs. We've got Tycho, we've got Illyrio Mopatis, and then my final one, we decided to kind of blend the new update a little bit where, you know, if there isn't a spot on the NCU board, you don't get to claim, and you don't get to activate your NCU at all. So with that, playing 3 NCUs, I really wanted to do Payat Pre, because then that way I don't lose out on anything. But unfortunately, Tyler's only brought 2 NCUs today.
Yeah, so my 2 NCUs are Donald Noyle and Bowen Marsh.
And then your list was run by Othel Yarwick in a unit of conscripts. And what else did you have?
I had the Scorpion...
Bolt thrower
with the stake attachment. I had a naked unit of Rangers, a naked unit of Sworn Brothers, and conscripts.
Or no, a naked unit of Builder Crossbowmen.
Builder Crossbowmen, yep.
So recently on the Table podcast, Chase and I got together to talk about social contracts, and when Tyler showed up to play today, it was a couple days ago now, but when he showed up to play, I was like, okay, here are my dragons out on the table. And he was like, I haven't built my list yet, and I don't want to tailor against you. So he and I ended up collaborating to try and make a list that was well-equipped to take out dragons. Like, you could do some stuff to them with a lot of the ranged attacks that he's got, but not so much to where it's like, I'm going to take 2 scorpions and then a unit of Builder Crossbowmen with the Night's Watch Captain. So some people might think that the list looks a little bit... off meta, I guess is what you would say. But for the most part, we were trying to make sure that the dragons could have a decent game, which, you know, woe is me, dragons have a decent game, right? But we wanted to make sure that the Night's Watch could actually hang with them too. So we ended up trying to collaborate a little bit, and that's a good example of social contracts in wargaming. So I ended up winning the die roll to determine who picked sides first, so I gave Tyler the option to pick side first, which means he's going first, of course. And then that just opens me up for taking the first activation on second turn. So, Tyler, it looks like you claimed the maneuver position with Bowen Marsh right away.
Yep, I wanted that get my Rangers closer to that objective.
Yep, and savvy viewers are going to notice that one of my cameras is hanging out above the table here. That's just me. I was wanting to make sure that I had the frame right for the units, but I wasn't paying attention to our dice cam, which will come up every now and again. So apologies, but I'll pay more attention to that in the future. But I ended up taking Tycho and throwing him on the tactics position, or the missive is what I like to call it. I weakened those Ranger Hunters and then just drew a couple cards myself. So I think right now, Tyler, you're just kind of farting around figuring out what to do with yourself. Since you only brought 2 NCUs, you're really interested in this in the swords, because that'll mean that once I close in, you actually get to get an activation right away with shooting. So you decide to move your Builder Crossbowmen up right away.
Yeah, I believe I marched them.
Yeah, so this is he ended up pulling him back a little bit, and I think it's been a long time since we've played, so cover doesn't work quite the way we thought it would. If you're in it, you can see people, but he only pulled back like a half inch, so it's not a big deal. I ended up taking the House of the Undead with Illyrio Mopatis, and I got Tyler to pitch, and his watch is ended. So that was a big deal for me because I do not like that card very much. So just to talk about deployment a little bit while we're still going here, Pyat Pri is going to zap these Ranger Hunters. I feel like I could have maybe got some work done on them, but they ended up passing. So deployment, like I super deployed really heavy on the bottom side of the table here, and that's because Tyler needs to try and stay ahead of the scoring game. So he's got this unit of Sworn Brothers that's hanging out on the top side of the table. And essentially that just means that he's playing 7 points down this whole game. Of course, he's going to get 1 point per turn. But what it means for me is that I don't need to worry about those Sworn Brothers at all. And the Sworn Brothers are pretty well equipped to take out a dragon on a charge. Well, maybe on a charge. Like
if they get lucky, maybe.
With like a couple commander buffs or cards that you could play, it might happen. But I ended up marching Daenerys's unit up with the pikemen just to make sure that I'm not in shooting. Well, no, I said screw it. I'm in shooting range of the crossbow or the bolt thrower, and I don't care. So I just wanted to make sure that Rhaegal was out of shooting range of the builder bolt thrower, and I ended up taking the objective here, and I was like, oh well, now the Ranger Hunters can't just shift and shoot, which we then realized later that you need to be in range to shoot with something. At least from what I was reading in the rules, I don't play shooting lists very often, but you need to be within range, at least under my interpretation, in order to make the shot. So you don't have like an 8-inch threat range with the Ranger Hunters. You only have that like 6-inch threat range, and then the shift just exists. So what Tyler ends up picking up on is, oh, I guess I'm just going to charge a dragon.
Yeah.
And this unit, Ranger Hunters, like if you're a Night's Watch player, do not sleep on these guys. They throw a lot of dice. Cool Mean or Nots went ahead and said that like there's a lot that we've done to try and pull back the lethality in the game, and the Rangers throw enough dice to where they're extremely, extremely lethal. Now Tyler over here should not have been able to re-roll that die because he charged over a corpse pile, and that denies your charge bonus. But that's, rusty. We're a little rusty here. So I end up playing one of Daenerys' commander cards. I can't remember what it was called, but the Ranger Hunters ended within short range, and this was my plan all along, to get Viserion to move up. And what I'm trying to do is prepare for a charge against the Ranger Hunters. So Ranger Hunters finish their charge, do 3 wounds to Rhaegal, and then you use your Swift Retreat ability to run back and then shoot.
Yeah, quick fire the order.
Yeah, quick fire. So, this is, please bear with me, folks. Like, I know I'm going real fast on the dice here. It's just some editing issues. So Rhaegal takes another couple wounds. He passes his panic test, of course, because he's a 2+ morale. So I'm sitting at 5. And now it comes to the start of my turn, and I'm like, I think I'm just going to go ahead and use Tycho right away to remove those wounds. So Tyler's whole activation here with a 7-point unit essentially didn't do anything other than take the objective, which is fine. So Viserion does his little dragon move up here, and we're like, okay, well, we just need not a 1 to get in. And I wanted to this is where I'm like kind of debating. Do I want to go after your bolt thrower, because that's dangerous to my army? Or do I want to try and deal with some of these Rangers, because I also know that they are very, they're strong. It's a strong unit. So I decide to put Viserion, who's in the side, who's probably better equipped to deal with some of the Rangers, given their morale stat. So I end up doing minimum wounds. I shoot off a rank, right? But now with panic at -3, because you're within short range of the corpse pile and the tree, you end up taking another wound. So Viserion doesn't get he doesn't get the highest value out of his attack there, but still pretty decent to shoot those Rangers down and make you force you to make some difficult decisions. So I think now, what are you at? You have just Donal Noy, and I think you're trying to figure out where to shoot, because the rest of your units have activated.
Yeah. think I ended up moving the crossbow
Oh.
and just taking a simple maneuver on.
This was a Watcher on the Wall thing, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure it was Watcher on the Wall.
Yeah,
Or
it probably was.
something. Some tactics card. We tried to play... We were going to try and play tactics cards into the dice box so that everyone could see them. But unfortunately, that didn't continue happening after I played my first card. So I think right now we were talking about rules on the objective. So like, as written, from what I can interpret... Viserion attacks the Rangers. They fail their panic test. He gains the token, but then after that, his activation ends. So it just defaults back to the corpse pile, and Tyler gets to gets to place the objective. So it's a little bit of a screwbally rule. I don't think that Viserion just gets to keep the token, but that's an interesting interaction.
Shooting with my Scorpion now.
Oh yeah, because and you get to re-roll that miss because Othel's there. And this I got to play I played a card which also I think there was a ruling on this one, but I'm not 100% sure how it shook out. I wasn't ready to go look for it. But this is the one where you only take 1 wound for unblocked hits, and since the Scorpion still doesn't like override it doesn't it's like if this generates any hits, you take wounds, it still has the unblocked hits thing. So I think instead of taking 4 wounds, I was fine here taking 2, but that could work out differently. So I know our big Jon Snow here is the first player marker, but we didn't kick it over to the next person. We're just like too jazzed to play the game, I think. But I've got first activation. I draw a full stack of cards because I think I pitched... I think it's Unstoppable something for Targaryens, where I wasn't really like feeling like I needed it in this dragon list. So I take Tycho and throw him on the swords and make an attack with Viserion right away because I want to try and get these Rangers gone. They're very threatening to my army, and as you can see, I'm very much prioritized trying to deal with them because all my dragons are over here. So we lose 5 Rangers after the Othel resupply. And then they've got Panic at -3 again from Viserion, so we'll see how that shakes out. And they crush it. Like, your Rangers are on fire over here, because that Panic check really could have drug them down to having, like, only 1 rank left. But unfortunately, it just didn't pan out for Viserion. So what are you thinking at the top of this turn, Tyler? You got a lot of options here.
I have too many options, and they all seem pretty bad. Like, I'm just trying to mitigate what's going to happen to my Rangers.
Well, and I on this turn, I did pop Daenerys' once per game ability, and I was like, oh, I'm going to go get Dracarys. And then I was like, no, Brian, go get the unblockable, or the 1 wound for each unblocked hit. So I switched those out and made that work. So, like, now, Tyler, you're contemplating. You've got Ranger Hunters that are sitting here, ready to die, essentially. They're half down. You've got a Builder Crossbow unit that could get up in the business and start shooting, or you got this Builder Bolt Thrower that could start doing work too.
Yeah. I think what I do is I do a resupply first, and then, because I don't want to fail a panic check on my Rangers.
Yeah, because Viserion hasn't even activated yet.
Yeah, from the Scorpion shot, I'm going to activate them first, and I think they're just going to attack and then withdraw.
Yep. So they end up taking a whack against Viserion, and I do pretty decent on the saves. I think I only take a couple wounds here and there, and then Panic's fine, of course, because 2+ morale's decent. So you retreat, and I think at this point you were like, oh well, I can only move the 2 inches, but I think later on we corrected that you're able to move back your movement plus the 2. Yeah, there we go. So Viserion just pivots because I don't want to be taking shots in the side from things because my armor is only 4+ on those. And now you're shooting with those Rangers, and they make a couple hits. I think it's 4 or 3. Yeah. And then I do crush all of them. Like, that's lucky for me.
Yeah. And on start of your turn, I place down a wall.
Yep, with one of Othel's commander cards, because that wall is important to stopping me from landing where I want to. Or at least you'll get the +1 bonus for it. So I think I jumped the gun a little bit here on the activation, and then I did Illyrio on the coin. so that I could heal Viserion back up again. So like healing is a really big central focus on this list. That's why I've got Tycho and Illyrio in it. And that means that it's going to be more difficult for Tyler to kind of take down these dragons. Because right now I feel like there's a whole lot of pressure on that bottom zone. So I think here you're shooting with your bolt thrower and you get to reroll again because Othel's by you.
Yeah.
And then I do play the unblocked hits only do 1 damage. And then I think I forgot to take a panic test, or maybe I didn't like do the clip right. But I instead then charge Othel's unit, because the thing is right now is since he's been resupplying with his commander, that unit's really, really low. And I end up doing minimum damage with the dragon again. But now you've got panic. You're outside just by a frog's hair of the corpse pile. So you are getting +1 to it, and you do crush it. So now Viserion's just kind of like hanging out with Othel.
Eating some new recruits.
Yep. Now, this is, I forget which card you played here, but this is where we get more into the nuance of shooting again. So the bolter, or the builder crossbowmen are outside of 12, so that means that Viserion is not an eligible target for them to shoot at, just because they can shift up to 2. From the hot minute that I'm reading the rules right here is that you have to declare your target if they are within your long or short range shooting. It doesn't include your shift. So I'm pretty sure I played this right in that the crossbowmen were not eligible to shoot Viserion. So you just choose to maneuver them with probably like just their normal activation, or Watcher on the Wall. That's probably what you played over here. So now I'm figuring out what to do with Drogon. I think I'm contemplating a long bomb charge on the bolter, or the builder crossbowman here. So I just would be making my maneuver, and then I think I needed a 3. No, I needed a 2 to get in. So it's not a long bomb charge. It's just a big one. So dice flew out of the box. We make the charge, and now these guys are locked up, which is I'm happy with having your shooting units locked in combat with the dragons.
So I spend my order and I do my
your Overwatch or whatever it's called.
Shoot.
And Drogon does take a lot of wounds here. I don't think I passed a single save. So four hits, 4 wounds, yeah. I do end up generating the hits on it, and for the D3 +3, I only shoot a rank off of you. So my dragon wounds are looking pretty rough here, and you do pass your panic test. So that's something too, as unfortunate as it is.
I am fighting 3 dragons.
Yes, you are. So what are you thinking now that you've got, your Rangers have done their thing, you've got Othel kind of pressured, and you haven't activated Donald yet. So what's going? Oh, ooh, there's a card you played. I think that's probably Light in the Darkness, or Sword in the Darkness. The light that brings the dawn.
I think it's after trading. They just gotta swing their.
It's whatever.
Swords.
I think whatever one you got to reroll attacks with, maybe. I don't know.
Sword in the Darkness, that would be. But you did activate, so.
Yeah,
you don't gain the 2 conditions.
Exactly, yeah. Oh, and this is where we're calculating their dice, because I know that bolter, or the builder crossbowmen are not very good in combat. So they fight, but they still do a couple wounds to Drogon, which is not a great place for me to be, because now he's only got 2 wounds left, and that builder bolt thrower, or the scorpion bolt thrower, hasn't done anything yet. So this is where I get a little cheeky. I moved Daenerys with Swift Advance, or whatever it's called these days, and then that gets her into short range with Viserion, and then I get to play Dracarys, so she gets to sacrifice her activation to make Viserion attack, and that takes your commander off the table, which I'm super happy for. So now Viserion is in the butt of all of your units.
Yeah.
It's a scary place to be, because the conscripts are kind of keeping you in this game a little bit, and now that Othel's gone, I think some of the efficacy of your commander cards go down a little bit. So now it looks like you're fishing with Donald. And then I think you may be vulnerable or weaken Rhaegal. I think you vulnerable him because we had the discussion that weaken isn't really that big of a deal on the dragon since they hit on 2s and only need to generate 1 hit in order to do their thing.
Yeah.
So now I finally put Jon Snow on the right side, my Jon Snow Tiki Boy. So now I'm going to crown zap I think we're crown zapping the Builder Crossbowmen here because Drogon put the panic token on them. So at -1, they might be within range of that tree. I'm not 100% sure. We must have... oh no, that was Illyrio. Illyrio exchanged the activation of the crown to heal Drogon a little bit and weaken the boys. The Builder Crossbowmen. So now I'm trying to see if I can maneuver Rhaegal into the side of the Rangers, mostly because I want to get the better panic check on them, and I really can't do that. So I ended up taking my dragon maneuver and then just crushing the wall so that they don't like, I think you can still land on walls. They're not impassable, but at this point I was like, I had War Machine brain and I was like, oh, you can't land on walls, but you can here. So I didn't really need to do that, but I did it anyways. So now, Tyler, you've got the top of the turn. What are you thinking right now?
I'm in big trouble. But my objective allows me to heal my crossbows by 2.
Yeah, the objective that you claimed, yeah. The Sworn brothers that are just babysitting that corpse pile up there. They're trying to cultivate some mushrooms or something, I guess.
Yeah.
They end up healing. I end up panicking the Ranger Hunter unit with my objective that Rhaegal's got. So like I'm sitting pretty spiffy here. So I think right away, of course, as a shooting, and this is, you know, us being a little loose on the game, we have to put down a corpse pile from Othel's unit that died. So like trying to figure out where we can put that, because there aren't a whole lot of good options for that, considering there's the tree and all these units are over here. Like I had to math it out or figure it out to where, like, when Viserion killed Othel, like, where could you put it? And I was like, well, Tyler, I think you want to put it as far away from me as you can.
Yeah.
So I don't just score it. So this way, we've rewound the game. We're back to where we were. Everything's fine. You, as a shooting player, obviously have Bowen Marsh take the swords.
Yeah, and I think I shoot with my bolt thrower.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain that you do here as well, because Drogon's sitting pretty light on wounds. Like, he's got 5 left, so you could do quite a bit of work here.
Yeah, and I do play his enhancement card to give him an extra attack die.
Yeah, and that's no bueno for me. So I ended up missing a trigger, but I ended up rolling it back a little bit here since not a whole lot happened. I put Promise of Fire on the bolt thrower because I do want to kill this thing, and you know, that way I'm just able, I think I can get it by the end of this turn with it only having like 5 or 6 wounds or something like that. So now I think you're just trying to work it out here. So this is the best attack in the world for me. Yeah, only take 2 wounds from it because you missed a couple and Othel wasn't there to help you out. So Drogon somehow makes it out, and the Builder Crossbowmen don't take any wounds from the morale test either. So I'm very happy with this, but I have a really difficult decision here. I guess it's not that difficult. I decided to heal Drogon. You don't have the rerolls from Othel, and I was like, okay, well, now I've got 6 wounds left. I think I'll be okay. Really, what I could have... I had another option here where I could have had Viserion just go and charge the bolt thrower, but I didn't do that, and you ended up throwing all hits with your bolt thrower, and that just flatlined Drogon,
yeah,
which was no fun for me. I really... Like, in hindsight, Viserion should have really just charged the bolt thrower and then made it so that Drogon wouldn't have died that turn, because you couldn't shoot out of combat with them. Even with the D3 business, they would have been fine. So now Viserion charges, and this is me being a little... like, Viserion really shouldn't have charged over the corpse pile here. So you can see I rolled double 1s for the hits, so really he should have just moved off of the corpse pile, because oddly enough, dragons only ignore terrain when they maneuver or march, not when they charge, because charges don't specify that you're making a maneuver or a march, they just say you move. So like, I think that that terrain messes with dragons when they charge. So I really should not have charged from the corpse pile here, but given how we were looking at things, I did what I thought was right, I guess. But after reviewing the dragons, they probably shouldn't be doing that. Or there's just something with charges that I'm not understanding, but I'm pretty sure it's not making maneuver or a march. But Viserion did flatline the bolt thrower, like in one shot, which was real nice. But now, Tyler, you've got the Rangers coming into Rhaegal. So you've taken down one dragon, and I think you're fishing for another one here.
Yeah.
Because he's only got he's got like maybe 5 wounds left. And he does fail quite a few of those saves. And you do have a vulnerable token, so I think he fails his last one. Oh no, he makes it. He makes it to panic, but he's not sitting real pretty here. You can see the big stack. I think it's 4 or 5 wounds that you did with just your charge. Like I got real unlucky on my defense saves. So now you're retreating because that's what Rangers do. And I'm really, yeah, so there's an extra, no, that wasn't, I don't know if that's a panic token or a wound, but Rhaegal's not sitting happy right now. He does lose the token too because he took an attack from a unit that has more ranks than he does.
So this is a quick fire attack.
Yep. And I fail enough, just barely enough, to lose Rhaegal too. So now I've lost 2 dragons. I'm sitting at 4 VP, and I think you're sitting at 2 right now. You should be sitting at more because
should be at 3.
Yeah, maybe Jon Snow's tiki here is blocking the other one. So I decide to get a little spicy with Daenerys. I'm like, okay, you killed my dragons. I was just like, I can probably shift here to maneuver into your most of this. So like this is me adjusting. Like I know it's sloppy play, but I was like, oh, I'll just pivot a little bit more the other way and make the charge longer. So I put unstoppable advance on them. I do have the or no, this is Fire and Blood, I think, where I have the horse, so it means I get to reroll my charges, and I think I become vicious is the other part of that card. So at this point, you can see that my body is no longer at the table. It's because my 2 little bulldog puppies upstairs can get a little rambunctious, so I decided to go up and check on them, but we are back now. They were just sleeping, thankfully, which is like 80% of what they do in a day outside of terrorize our house. So now I'm just like, I want Daenerys to go in here and try and clean up the Rangers because those guys, they've already flatlined one dragon. I've gotten rid of the threat that can take out Viserion, but I really need to make sure that things are going the way I want them to go. Oh, you know what? I got too far ahead of myself. I took Illyrio on the horse and then put a token on her. I forget what the card is where you get +1 attack die and -1 wound for failing panic. So now is when I'm charging with her. So I got her into position with Illyrio taking the maneuver position, and now I've gotten that charge on the Rangers. So I ended up opting for vicious and reroll charges. So they throw their dice, 5 hits so far, and then I think it's only 6 actually connect after rerolls, and then I am weakened. I think I'm weakened. Oh, and now we're rewinding. So, like, I'm sure all of you are watching now and be like, you didn't put a corpse down for your dragon. But now it's there. I tell you, lots of checks and balances with Feast for Crows. So I end up, you expend the weaken token, and I still hit with everything.
Yeah.
And that hurts quite a bit. So I don't think you don't make any saves here, but I think you do shields that guard the realms of men, so you can try and reroll the fish for a couple 6s, which I think you actually get a couple here, and that keeps you alive by just a few bodies. Like you've got 4 in there right now. So now you've got panic at -4 because you're not within range of the tree, and you do fail and lose 3 guys. And the unfortunate thing is, it's double unfortunate because Jon Snow's head's in the way. You only have 2 guys left, so you using a shield that guards the realms of men legitimately saved you. But now you've got these builder crossbowmen, and again, a frog's hair out with Daenerys to where they can't shoot me. So you just decide to take that objective and start playing this scenario.
Yeah, having to measure from that tiny little triangle really hurts.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain that we are playing this right, where your threat range of 14 inches is not your eligible target range. But I end up having Illyrio take the crown here, and I'm trying to zap the Rangers off the table, and then they do end up failing their panic test. So I do take them off, and now Daenerys can just like pivot to make sure she's not taking Ranger shots in the butt.
Yeah, and that was really big for you too.
Yeah, I know that was huge, huge, huge because now you can't heal them back up. You can't, it was a good shift in the game where now I've collapsed this whole side of the table, this whole bottom side, and now I get to basically run the game with you only having these builder crossbowmen here, at least on this side of the table.
Yeah, it's the only current threat, and you still got a dragon alive.
Yep, and I've got 6 victory points now, and I think you're maybe sitting at 4-ish right now.
Yeah.
So I've really gone quite far ahead in the scoring game. So now the top of the turn comes to me, and I'm not really sure what I want to do here. You end up having Othel do something, or Othel's card do something. I'm not sure exactly what's going on here. Or maybe...
I put down another wall.
Oh, another wall, yeah. There you go. Because you were trying to block charges. We both have War Machine Brain right now. You're trying to block charges from Viserion because walls don't really help you all that much against dragons. So... I haven't removed the activation banner off of Viserion yet, but he's sitting at 2 wounds right now. And I guess I ended up having Tycho go and heal back. I can't remember if it was Viserion or Daenerys' unit. I guess the viewer will probably pay attention to what got healed a little bit. But I also, yeah. And then you took the attack spot because you actually can, or the swords, because you can shoot Daenerys right now. So you decide to light her up. And I do fail a decent amount of these. And the panic test, I think I failed that too. Oh no, I passed the panic test. We're fine. So we lose a rank to the ranged attacks. And now I'm trying to figure out, if I take the maneuver position, you'll shoot me again, it's fine. But, maybe I can just get her a little closer. Or no, this was me measuring a charge. I was like, okay, I need a 3. No matter what, I need a 3 to get in here if I decide to charge right away. So I play again the Fire and Blood for reroll charges, and I do make it, so it's unfortunate that I, had to choose. But I was going for, the guaranteed stuff. So you do your Overwatch ability again and connect with a decent amount, 4 shots. It's not bad. And then I do expend a Weaken token. 3 of them go down, and I fail Panic. Or a couple go down, and I fail Panic. So, this is me not using any of my rules here because, these guys should have been, from the get-go, blocking extra hits with their order. But then I also forgot that I suffer -1 wound. So I throw dice at 1 rank, but, math over here makes me think that I should be throwing them at 2 ranks. But at any rate, the Builder Crossbowmen do take quite a few hits. And I do make you re-roll the Panic, and that you fail that too. So I think you take 2 wounds from the attack and then 3 wounds from the Panic test, something like that.
Yeah, something that hurt really big.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of crossbowmen gone there. So that was Daenerys' activation. So she's in the danger zone right now because I don't pay it. There you see me put a pikeman back because I remember one of my rules. But, I say, okay, well, I'm just going to move on from this point because I can't fix the problem that I've made for myself with forgetting their order for blocking extra hits. So we're just sitting here with 1 rank on Daenerys and then Viserion hanging out. So I think you've got a bazillion vows stacked up on this Builder Crossbow unit. They're a shooting unit, but
I have 4.
Yeah, there's a lot going on here. So we're checking the stat again to see how many dice they're throwing. I think after Sword in the Darkness, you're throwing 5 dice, but you do get to re-roll. So you've got 4 hits that connect in here. And unfortunately, I fail every single one but 1. So just Daenerys is hanging out here. She does pass Panic, but we forget that there's this little vulnerable token hanging out over here. And I'm like, okay, we have it. So I clenched my teeth and re-rolled that die, and the coins came up heads for me, so Daenerys sticks around. And I think that's probably one of the most pivotal points in the game.
I think that was probably the most pivotal, yeah.
So Viserion ends up activating here just to move off of the corpse pile. I'm fine abandoning the objectives. I want to try and get this bolt thrower unit gone because I did just play Promise of Fire on them, so I want to kill them this turn. And I think that was Illyrio that made Viserion move so that I can get around the wall and charge you on the side and likely take out the crossbows. And I think for you, you tried to Crown Zap. You were going for Hail Mary Crown Zap on Daenerys, and it didn't quite work.
Yeah.
So now Viserion's going. He moves, charges, and we're getting into the side of these crossbowmen. So easy peasy, we generate some hits, and he rolls D3 plus 3, which wouldn't work today with dragons, but that works right now. So I end up moving Viserion to claim the objective that's there. And I think at that point we ended up deciding to call it, because at the end of the turn I went up to killing the crossbow unit brought me from 6 to 8. I score 9 at the beginning of the turn.
And then you just
and then I just run away. And then I score out and you can't catch up. So how'd you feel about playing against dragons in their current iteration?
Well, dragons hurt a lot.
Yeah.
Like if you don't have a way to deal with them, it sucks.
Yeah, they they're still vulnerable in quotes, right? They're only a 4+ save, so if you're throwing Sundering into them, that's something. And if you're doing auto wounds, that also hurts them because they can't leverage some of the Mother of Dragon commander cards to get there.
Yeah.
So
yeah, they're not unkillable. They're very sharp sword.
The dragons are. Here's the thing, and I know we're talking about old rules because the rule update that will happen eventually is going to change these guys a little bit, but not a whole lot. So the change that'll end up hitting for them, instead of doing D3 plus 3, they're going to do D3 plus 1 for each rank that the target has. So if I'm attacking a unit with full ranks, it'll be D3 plus 3 still. But then as they start to lose ranks, the dragons don't become as oppressive, because you could really, after the first hit, it's really easy to just two-shot a unit with a dragon. And I think the things that make them difficult right now, and the reason why they needed changing, is because they ignore so many rules. And when you play any war game, some of the most effective units or builds or strategies are ones that ignore rules. The dragons ignore movement shenanigans, or the terrain when they're moving around. I'm fairly certain they would ignore them while charging, but I need to go back and read the stupid rules again to see exactly what they ignore and what they don't, or what part of a charge is how it's worded, because I'm pretty sure it says you move that many inches plus your speed instead of saying you make a maneuver, because then at that point it's like a new concept in the game where it's you don't actually, move doesn't exist, right? It's only in the charge. So that can get funky, but they ignore terrain, they ignore your defense saves, and they ignore any rules that say unblocked hits, because all they need to do is generate hits. They essentially ignore everything weakened because they hit on 2s. They mostly ignore morale because they have a 2+ morale. They'll fail on double 1s, but that's it. So that's why I think dragons are so powerful in their current iteration. And I think they'll still be pretty good with that change. They'll get that big alpha hit right away, and then they'll still do work. It'll just take them a little bit longer. So it'll be interesting to see if the decaying damage as your opponent's units get more weak actually really makes people feel better about playing into them.
Yeah.
But Tyler had a really decent list to play against them. Like you saw, he took down 2 dragons. One was because of me, because I was being dumb. But, well, I wasn't being dumb. I took a risk. I tried to take a sustainable risk instead of a greedy risk. The greedy risk was charge the bolt thrower, try to kill it, or just engage it or whatever. But, unfortunately that didn't happen. So Drogon took a digger. But the Cheeto Dragon made it to the end.
You got to use all of your units, and my Sworn Brothers were just AFK the entire game.
I know. I got to play a 40-point game, and you got to play a 33-point game. So that's the thing about Feast for Crows, though. If you have the list that can do it, if your opponent is responding to your deployment in the you just say, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and do a footloose thing. We're gonna play a game of chicken. And I'm just going to stay on this one side, and I bet you're going to take the other side with one unit. And for you didn't have any what's the word? Superfluous units. If you had Ghost, sure, Ghost can go babysit that objective all game. Who cares? What's he going to do? Jorah the Explorer? He's going to go sit on that objective too. But Sworn Brothers, that's 7 frickin' points of sundering crit blow nastiness. Or did they lose one of those?
They lost crit.
They lost crit blow. Sorry. So, anyways, they're still teched for combat because they got martial superiority. Sorry. So, like, you can have the one command, or you can have the one victory point for 7 points. That's fine. I'll make the trade. I'm a Targaryen. Like, all I want to do is take your units off the table, anyways.
Oh, you did that.
Yep. So, I hope you all enjoyed the battle report we have here. I know I talked through most of it, but Tyler's getting his battle report legs again. But this was a fun time. I've really been digging the game. Like, Targaryens are super fun to play, and I'm just like really jazzed to be playing some Ice and Fire again. Just having the cards in my hand, throwing the units on the table. Like, it's been a blast.
Yeah, really fun.
Well, we look forward to doing the next one for you, and hope you enjoyed this. Thanks. I guess I'm never good at signing off. Like, that's something that a lot of people complain about with my battle reports. They're like, Brian, you just end things so abruptly. And I'm like, well, I don't have like a cheesy like outro or anything like that. Like, I hope you get your miniatures. Yeah, I hope you get your miniatures on the table. Beep, 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 beep. But no, that's not me. I'm we played the game. We did the thing. We're done. It's time to go eat some mac and cheese, or at least make it, I guess. Thanks again. Have a good one. Look forward to making more of these in the future. Bye.
Bye.